Hello everybody, welcome back to another video. Today we are doing Donald Trump versus Joe Biden 2020 election. So here's how I'm going to do this. We're going to do Donald Trump's best scenario, what I think is going to happen, and Joe Biden's best case scenario. So we're going to be doing three maps. So Red Eagle did something like this, but he did it by Trump's approval rating. I'm just doing it like this. The Democrats' best case, the Republicans' best case, and what I think is going to happen. I think that's a bit fair. Maybe Red Eagle's doing the same thing, but I don't know. It takes me a while to understand things. I'm very slow. I'm not. Okay, that's the wrong wording, but I don't get things as fast as other people. Let's just say that. Okay. But that's just how I think of myself. So for Trump's best case, Oregon would be lean. In Oregon, it would be like people don't come out to vote for Biden. Trump pulls out the suburbs in Oregon. But I don't still think it would be enough to pull out enough to win the state. Nevada, it would be lean. The Latino support Trump has, he does have Latino support, especially since the unemployment rate is at a record low for Latinos, which is going to pull out a lot for Donald Trump. New Mexico would be tilt. Oh, let's make the map nice and pretty. There we go. I do think New Mexico would be tilt for Donald Trump. Again, the Latino support in here in this state would pull out for Donald Trump. I don't think Colorado would go to Trump. I think it would lean to Joe Biden's column. Again, a bunch of stoners are going to be pulling out for the Democrats since they are wanting to support the legalization of marijuana. I don't think Trump has gone out and said anything on this situation, but you never know. Nebraska 2nd Congressional District, I would say it would be likely. Again, Omaha is very red considering it is an urban city, so I think it would pull off for Donald Trump. Then again, I think a bunch of Omaha voters are pretty independent. Minnesota would be lean. Again, the countryside of Minnesota, I think that's the correct wording there. It's trending red. Even CNN will admit that, yeah, they could lose Minnesota because of how red it's trending. Wisconsin would be likely. Again, the economy, the way it's going right now, it is going great. The Rust Belt voters are going to be pleased with that. Michigan, I still think will be Joe Biden. Like Michigan, out of all these three Rust Belt states, Trump's approval in Michigan is just getting deeper and deeper underwater. If you look at it, then again, I could be looking at it wrong. It's been a while since I checked, but I have to check at that again. Maybe it's been rising, but last time I checked, it was just getting lower and lower and lower. Pennsylvania, I would see going lean. I do see some independent voters and Democrat voters saying, "Oh yeah, Joe Biden was from this state. I'm gonna go vote for him," and they might pull up for Joe Biden, but I still think there are too many voters that would go for Donald Trump, especially how the economy is going. Virginia would go tell how all the voters are going because of this gun ban in the state. It's not a gun ban per se, but they're just but it seems like they're trying to take away the Second Amendment from voters, from people in the state, which Republicans are not happy about that. I think they're going to get energized for 2020. Where it might be lean or tilt, but Donald Trump, in his best case, could win Virginia by tilt margins. North Carolina would go red. During the 2016 elections, you could run down the streets of Alexander County, Caldwell County, Iredell County, and you could see nothing but Trump signs all over the place. Not a single Clinton sign. A lot of people would make fun of Clinton, but not as in she was a bad candidate, as in she has lots of memes. Let's make memes about her. Georgia, even though Joe Biden's got Stacey Abrams on ticket, I think in this scenario it wouldn't matter. Georgia would still go likely. Southern voters are going to pull out for Trump. The Christian evangelicals still pull out for Trump. And I think Florida, considering it's his home state, could pull out for Donald Trump as well. Of course, the Panhandle are going to pull out for Trump as well. The Cuban vote are not going to be happy about Joe Biden calling himself a progressive, because a progressive is mostly a far-left Democrat. So he could pull off that wrong image. Some Democrats here in the Panhandle and the Peninsula might go for Biden due to his one-term pledge, but I highly doubt that. Some people say it's political suicide, but I highly doubt that. I think a one-term pledge helped James Polk, and I still think that could work today. I still think a one-term pledge could help a candidate, just not Joe Biden. Maryland, I see going likely in this scenario. I think Larry Hogan, considering he didn't run against Donald Trump, I see Larry Hogan endorsing Donald Trump, which could help him in the state. New Jersey, they have a very unpopular governor there. Jeff Andrew switched to the Republican Republican Party, so he could help some New Jersey voters pull out for Trump. But I still think it happening. Rhode Island. A lot of people are going to be upset with this, but I think in a best case scenario for Donald Trump, he could pull off the state of Rhode Island. Just because of Lincoln Chafee, I think Lincoln Chafee could, be a spoiler for the state where he could take enough votes from Joe Biden where he could end up second in the state. He was very popular there when he was a senator and a governor there. So you can just see there he could just pull himself out of pull a shock out of everyone. It was a shock when Trump won. I think everyone was shocked when Trump won the presidency, and the shock was how he won the second district. I think this could be the major shock, him winning Rhode Island, a state that I think flipped 6 or 7 points from 2012 to 2016. I think Joe Biden won it by Hillary Clinton won it by a 10 or 11 point margin. Somebody will correct me in the comments section. New Hampshire, I believe, will go lean. I don't think Donald Trump would beat Joe Biden in the state. I'll explain that later. But in this scenario, Donald Trump wins the state. He continues the trend. He pulls out enough voters from the suburbs. Chris Sununu helps him win the state, and Trump would help him win in his election. But I don't think Chris Sununu will endorse Trump, which is why I think he will lose re-election because he won't have that Trump appeal behind him. Maine's first congressional district, I think that would tilt for Donald Trump. He would and by this he would win Maine at large by lean margins as well. So if he could pull out this at Maine, he would have to go to Maine a lot. He would have to go to the first and second district. He would have to pull out a lot of people from the suburbs. He would have to flip a lot of urban people, a lot of urban voters from the Democrats or Republicans. You got to convince those voters. Talk about how the economy is doing good. How we'll talk about the situation with Iran. How he's not trying to start a war. And how you can explain how if he was for the war, the media, the fake news, he could just throw out fake news. The fake news would be against anything he was. If he was for the war, the media would be against it. If he was against the war, the media would be for it. So the final map for Donald Trump's best case would be 351 electoral votes to 187 for Joe Biden. Now, let's talk about what I think is going to happen. Okay, so Oregon I think will be likely, if not safe. He's going to win it by a 9-point margin. 9.8. It'll be close at 10, so it wouldn't even matter, really, pretty much. Nevada, I think, will end up being tilt. Again, Nevada is trending in the opposite direction of Arizona, but let's make the chart nice and pretty. Hold on. Again, I think Nevada will be like New Hampshire, where it was tilt and could signal for 2024. Whoever that nominee will be, I think will be Mike Pence, and I do think he could win the state in 2024. Arizona, I think it'll tilt as well. Arizona will be it'll be tight. It'll be a close race. I think Joe Biden could win the state, but I do think Donald Trump is going to pull out the suburbs just enough for the Republicans to hold on the state just one more time. New Mexico, I think New Mexico and Colorado will be likely for Joe Biden. Joe Biden's just a very popular candidate down in the West Coast states and down here as well. He's very popular now in the New Mexico primary. Bernie Sanders was ahead of Joe Biden by I think 3 or 4 points. I think it was 23 for Sanders, 20 for Biden, and 10 for Yang. I'm not too sure. Texas, I think it'll be likely. I think Trump will get like 7 or 8 points this ahead of Joe Biden. We'll win the state by 7 or 8 points. He'll do better than what he did against Clinton, but not enough to pull the state into safe category. He'll win Nebraska's 2nd congressional district by a likely margin as well. Omaha voters are pretty split. Some hate Trump, some love him, but I still think he's going to win the state. Minnesota, I can see going tilt margins. Even though Joe Biden's a weirdo, and Minnesota loves it, I don't like saying that. I don't like saying that, but still, it is trending red. I think if Trump does make a lot of stops here, campaigns here a few times, more than he did the Rust, but I think he could flip the state. Wisconsin, I see it going lean. For Donald Trump, again, the economy is doing great. Even though the trade deal with China did not happen, or isn't happening until most likely after 2020, I still think that's enough to have Trump win it by 3 or 4 points. That could definitely help Donald Trump. I do see Michigan going to Joe Biden by a lean column. This would be a huge flip for Democrats. I think this would be one of the first states called. Even though this is the best conservative YouTuber out there, Radical Politics, his home state, yeah. I'm just going to make some jokes here and there. And politics can't always be serious. Like Joe Biden, again, like I said before, Donald Trump's approval rating in the state is not that great. It's just tanking. I still think Joe Biden could win the state easily. or not easily, but it's going to be a tough battle. Joe Biden is definitely going to make some stops throughout the Rust Belt, but I do think he could win the state of Michigan. Pennsylvania, I can see staying in the tilt column again. Like I said before, there are going to be some voters who think that who are going to believe that Joe Biden was born in Alabama and not take a look at the fact that he was only there for 10 years out of his 70-plus year life before he moved to Delaware. Hasn't represented the state at all. He only... I bet you if Pennsylvania was not a swing state, he wouldn't be saying that he was, I was born in Pennsylvania, yeah. I guarantee you. Ohio, I see Trump winning that by likely margins. In his best case, he won it safe. Again, it's part of the Rust Belt. The economy is doing great for the farmers. I can't see it going to Joe Biden in the scenario with the economy just doing so well. Just like voters there are just sick and tired of the Democrats' BS. Like Michigan, it's getting there, but very slowly. I could see Virginia going likely to Joe Biden again. The voters are not happy there with the senators, with the governors. They're all Democrat, by the way. They're not happy how they're trying to take their guns away. And again, the Republicans are going to be very energized. Now this margin could be lower, but so I see it being an 8 or 7 point win for Joe Biden. North Carolina, I see going lean again. Joe Biden's going to do well in the South, especially since he has Stacey Abrams on the ticket. I do see a lot of voters in Mecklenburg County. What was the other one? It was another county. Mecklenburg and another county that are deep blue states are going to pull out hard for Joe Biden, but I don't see it going to Joe Biden. Georgia, I see going tilt. I do see this being like where Stacey Abrams like, I should be governor, and those Democrats who voted for her in the midterms are going to pull out for Joe Biden because she's on the ticket, and I think that could put Georgia close. Florida, Donald Trump's home state, I see going lean. Again, since it would be likely if he was going up against a Bernie Sanders or Elizabeth Warren, but not in this case. Not in this case. It's going to be close. It's always close. It could be tilt, but I don't see that. I don't see Florida dropping and not trending blue in this election. I just don't. Rhode Island, I see going likely. Again, Lincoln Chafee is going to take some votes away from Joe Biden. Joe Biden, and it's not going to be enough for Trump to win the state, but I do see it going to Joe Biden by a likely margin. It's going to be a 9-point margin, just like Oregon. It's not going to matter, like 9.7, 9.9. It's going to be close to a 10-point margin, but still. New Hampshire, I do see it trending blue in the scenario. Joe Biden is very popular up in the New England territory. Not so much in Maine's 2nd congressional district, but he's still very popular in the state of New Hampshire. New Hampshire, it's got a lot of voters. A lot of people there are never Trumpers, and they're not going to pull for a Bernie Sanders or Elizabeth Warren, but they might pull for a centrist like Joe Biden, who will at least resonate with them like Barack Obama did. Maine's 2nd district, I think that'll tilt for Joe Biden. It's going to be close. I think it'll be Maine at large, Pennsylvania, and let's say Nevada and or Arizona will be the last states called. So maybe Georgia as well. Maybe Georgia could be one of the last states called, but that probably doesn't seem likely. But still, the final electoral map shows Donald Trump beating Joe Biden by 300 electoral votes to 238. So Donald Trump beats Joe Biden again in what I believe will happen. Again, I could be wrong, and I will happily admit that. Now, let's talk about Joe Biden's best case. Now, this is where he most likely shocks the world and gets the voters energized. Okay, so Arizona, he would win that by lean margins. Again, the state is trending. Excuse me, gotta make the chart pretty. Comedy comes in threes. This is where, again, state's trending blue. People are noticing that. Democrats are noticing that. Kristen Sinema won by, I think, good 4 or 5 points. And I think Joe Biden can win by that same margin. He's very moderate. Kristen Sinema was a moderate. Just imagine what a centrist could do. Montana would be likely. Again, Steve Bullock is very popular. I think Bullock is going to give Biden the nomination, or excuse me, the endorsement, which could help some Montana voters in the state pull out for Joe Biden. Texas, I'm going to give it lean. I think this is where the state continues to trend more and more blue, and where we could see a flip by 2028, 2032, one of the two, unless Dan Crenshaw is the nominee, where we could see a trend back to being a safe red state. Biden's best case, I do see him winning Nebraska's 2nd congressional district, pulling an Obama 2008, where voters are sick and tired of Donald Trump and sick and tired of these controversies. They buy into the media bias, and all that. Minnesota would be likely. Again, I don't see it being safe. It's never been a safe blue state per se. Iowa, I would see it going lean again. Iowa. Joe Biden is fairly popular. He's not truly popular. He's just a little popular in the state. Missouri, it used to be a bellwether. It used to be. I think it would go likely in this scenario. It wouldn't be like shocking, like, oh, Missouri's trending blue, guys. No, it's just one of those things where voters didn't turn out and they just pulled for Donald Trump. Same with Arkansas and Louisiana. It's not like they're trending blue or anything. Voters just didn't come out because they just don't trust the president anymore. Same with Alabama. Same with Kentucky. Especially with Kentucky, it's like that would be a huge blow to Republicans in this scenario. Republicans would be like, man, we Kentucky went from safe to likely, and now, and also they like a Democrat governor, and I do predict that Amy McGrath will beat Mitch McConnell. Which, like, add on top of that, you have a Democrat senator in the state, so they need to keep an eye on that state, especially if McConnell loses to McGrath, especially Lord. Wisconsin, I see going tilt. As well as Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, tilt. This is where the Rust Belt goes back to the roots. Stay Democrat. They gave Trump a chance. They didn't like what they saw. Guys, and they went back to Joe Biden. Ohio, I don't see going red. I see tilt margins. It goes to Donald Trump by tilt margins in this scenario. Joe Biden's passed the magic number, by the way. Indiana, also, I see it going lean in this scenario. Joe Biden tries to energize enough voters, maybe gets Pete Buttigieg's endorsement, and South Bend flips. I think South Bend's a very conservative town. I could be wrong. Virginia should be safe. North Carolina would be tilt. It'd be less than 1%. Donald Trump would be like shaking his head, just disappointment because he lost a lot of North Carolina voters to this gaffe-prone idiot. Georgia, I see going tilt. I think this would be where Stacey Abrams is like, yeah, I told you guys I could win. But then again, it would just be like less than 1%, guys. It'd be less than 1%. Florida would also flip. It would be close. It would flip to Joe Biden. New Hampshire would be likely. Maine at large should be safe. And Maine's 2nd congressional district would be in the lean column. Now, guys, in Joe Biden's best case, he beats Donald Trump 342 to 196. So, guys, Democrats, if you want this map, just vote. Republicans, if you want this map, vote. Like, that's all you gotta do, guys, just vote. And, like, if we can combine these two maps together, you get this map. So, anyway, guys, this is the chaotic one. Sorry I didn't upload the past couple days. I've got work. But, yeah, I've got some videos coming. There's gonna be another one tomorrow morning, early, like 8, 7 o'clock, or 8, 9 o'clock, maybe 10, because I got somewhere to be. Tomorrow I'm going to Lincoln, North Carolina. I think that's fairly blue. Somebody will correct me, or I could do some research later. But still, guys, tell me if I'm correct. Tell me if I'm full of shit. Tell me that I don't know what I'm talking about. Tell me that I'm just the best YouTuber you'll ever meet. Just pop a like, subscribe, comment if you want to. It doesn't even matter. Just say good night, good morning, good afternoon. Just anything. I don't care. But yeah. So I do have 2 subscribers after my first video. That was dope, but it was probably because some people saw my video on my other channel. So anyway, guys, this is the Chaotic One saying peace.